all of your written statements will be part of the record. If you could try to summarize your statements in about 5 minutes. We're not going to pound the gavel. We have looser California laid-back rules here, Anya, but we'll sort of lightly touch the gavel when you're getting as long as we are, have been. And Mr. Soderbergh, why don't you begin?
Good morning. I'm honored enough to be here and respectful enough of your time to speak briefly and plainly. We're here to talk about piracy, primarily internet piracy. And while I'm here officially representing the Directors Guild, I'd like to speak to you personally. I'm a filmmaker, and so by some loose definition, I'm also an artist. But since the subject of art is very subjective, I want to talk about numbers, because numbers are not subjective. Numbers are inarguably what they are. So here are a few numbers to think about. In 2007, the entertainment industry, despite the piracy figures mentioned by the chairman, generated a trade surplus of $13.6 billion. In 2005, the entertainment industry generated 1.3 million jobs, over $30 billion paid in wages, and over $30 billion paid to vendors and suppliers. That generated $10 billion in paid taxes. As strong as those numbers are, we could do more. We could make an even larger contribution to the economy if it weren't for theft in the form of piracy. I won't bore you in this verbal testimony with figures of how piracy has affected my own work, because I'm not an exceptional case here. Everyone is hurt by this. Most people see the entertainment industry as a bunch of pampered celebrities. I see it that way sometimes. And I wish my saying that that's not true could just instantly dissolve that illusion. Certainly Michael Miller will attest to the fact that most people that work in this industry are resolutely middle class and are largely living paycheck to paycheck. But let's set aside this issue of perception for a moment and get back to the numbers. I guess my question is, if the automobile industry told you that 25% of its cars had gone missing from leaving the assembly line to getting to the car lot, you'd have the Department of Justice doing wind sprints to figure out how to solve this. We're facing a very similar situation. Piracy increases unemployment by reducing the revenues paid to the people providing that employment, and that results in lost jobs. What is our solution here? Well, this is what we know. Litigation is slow and the internet is fast. This may not be the best time to speak about self-regulation, but I don't think it makes much sense for us to ask the government to be the police in this issue. What we would like is to be deputized to solve our own problems. We would like to be granted the kind of pull-down and inspection abilities that we're seeing proposed in France, so that we can act swiftly and fairly on our own behalf. If we're given this ability, I feel we can figure out a way that's efficient and creative to make piracy a difficult last resort instead of a best first option. The other reason to do this is it'll allow the industry to retain and continue to create jobs without asking for taxpayer assistance in the form of government intervention. 40 years ago, as some movies targeted for adults began to show the world as it is instead of as we might wish it to be, censorship bodies sprung up all over the country to determine whether each film complied with community standards. And filmmakers were faced with the possibility of having to screen their films for every one of these groups before they could present their work to the public. This was impractical, to say the least, and a subsequent court ruling deemed that it was illegal as well. The solution was the creation of the MPAA, which established a rating system that we still use today. It works, and it doesn't cost the taxpayers a single penny. The extreme level of competition at all levels of this business has resulted in an intelligent, hardworking, capable workforce. And this business is actually remarkably transparent when you compare it to other businesses of similar scale. It's for these reasons I ask you to empower the industry to confront this problem, which extends to every country and every content provider in the world. Since the United States is the world's largest exporter of entertainment, I believe we have an obligation to create a new paradigm for combating piracy. I don't think it's going to happen without a fresh approach to the way the government and the rights holders interact. I'm here as a member of the creative community to tell you that we're ready and able to confront this problem. I would like to submit some additional materials for the record which will provide details on the impact of piracy of my own films, as well as our thoughts on the French solution and other DGA suggestions for congressional action on this matter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and the additional submission will be included in the record of this hearing.